If you're over 60 and you take something for your blood pressure and you reach for an over-the-counter painkiller when your back or your knees start aching, I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes because the combination sitting in most American medicine cabinets right now is quietly putting a strain on the one organ that almost never tells you it's in trouble until the damage is already done. And here's the part that surprises people the most. It's not some exotic prescription drug doing the harm. It's two of the most ordinary, most trusted medications in your house, taken together on an ordinary Tuesday for the most ordinary reasons in the world. I'm going to tell you exactly which two and why the mix matters so much more after 60 than it ever did at 40. But I'm also going to share the single most dangerous version of this mix, the one doctors actually have a nickname for, and most seniors have never heard it. That comes a little later, so stick around for it. Because if you only remember one thing from this whole video, I want it to be that. Let me say up front who I am and who I'm not. I'm not a doctor, and I'd never pretend to be. I'm a health educator. I read the research, I read what the pharmacists and the kidney specialists publish, and my whole job is to take it out of the medical jargon and explain it to you the way I'd explain it to my own father, plain and simple, at the kitchen table. So nothing I say today is a diagnosis, and nothing I say is a reason to change a single pill on your own. It's information, so you can walk into your next appointment and ask better questions. Now, the two medications, the first one is your blood pressure medicine. For millions of folks over 60, that's something like lisinopril or losartan, or it might be amlodipine, or it could be a water pill, a diuretic like hydrochlorothiazide. Maybe you take one of these. Maybe you take two or three together because that's very common after a certain age. These are good medicines. They've helped an enormous number of people avoid strokes and heart attacks. And I want to be crystal clear, this is not a video telling you they're dangerous. They are doing important work. The second medication is the one most people don't even think of as a real medication. It's the over-the-counter pain reliever, the anti-inflammatory. We're talking about the NSAIDs. That's the family of drugs that includes ibuprofen and naproxen. You know them by their brand names. They sit on the shelf right next to the vitamins and the antacids. No prescription needed, a few dollars a bottle. And because you can buy them like candy, most people assume they're as harmless as candy. For a younger person with healthy kidneys taking one now and then, they're usually fine. But put them together with blood pressure medicine in a body that's over 60, and you've got a combination worth understanding. So let me explain the mechanism, because once you understand why this happens, you'll never forget it. Your kidneys are basically two filters about the size of your fists, and they clean your entire blood supply many times a day. To do that filtering job, they need good steady blood flow through some very delicate little blood vessels inside them. Your body manages that blood flow with natural chemical signals. Some of those signals tell the tiny vessels coming into the kidney to stay open and relaxed, so plenty of blood gets in to be cleaned. Here's the problem. NSAIDs, those painkillers, work by blocking a chemical called prostaglandins. That's actually how they relieve your pain and bring down swelling. They tamp down those prostaglandins. But those very same prostaglandins are part of what keeps the incoming blood vessels in your kidneys relaxed and open. So when you take the painkiller, you don't just quiet the ache in your knee. You also, in a sense, tighten the front door of the kidney and reduce the blood flow coming in. Now layer the blood pressure medicine on top. Some of those, the ACE inhibitors like lisinopril and the ARBs like losartan, they work on the back door of the kidney, the outgoing vessel, relaxing it to take pressure off the system. That's great on its own. But combine front door restriction from the painkiller with back door relaxation from the BP pill, and the pressure that drives filtration inside the kidney can drop too low. The filter slows down, and if there's a water pill in the mix, pulling fluid out of your body and leaving you a little dried out, you've now squeezed that kidney from a third direction. Less blood coming in, less pressure to push the filtering, and less fluid overall. And this brings me to the part I promised you, the most important point in this whole video, the one that has a nickname. In the medical world, when you combine those three things at once, a diuretic, that's the water pill, plus an ACE inhibitor or an ARB, plus an NSAID painkiller. They actually call it the triple whammy. That's the real term researchers use, the triple whammy. And studies have found that this particular three-way combination is linked to a meaningfully higher risk of a sudden drop in kidney function, what doctors call acute kidney injury, especially in the first month or so after the painkiller gets added in. Think about how easily this happens. You've been on your blood pressure pill and your water pill for years, faithfully, doing everything right. Then you tweak your back lifting a grandchild, or your arthritis flares, and you start taking ibuprofen a couple times a day for a week to get through it. You'd never connect those two things. Why would you? One's a heart pill, one's a painkiller. But to your kidneys, you just closed the front door, propped open the back door, and turned down the water all at the same time. And the cruel thing about kidneys is they suffer in total silence. There's usually no pain, no warning sign you'd notice. The early trouble shows up only in a blood test, which is exactly why so many people get caught off guard. Now let me pause right here, because this is the moment in the conversation where I'd lean in if we were sitting together. If you take any blood pressure medicine, and especially if you take a water pill along with it, do yourself one small favor this week. I've put a simple, plain language guide down in the description, a little checklist of questions to bring to your pharmacist about painkillers and your kidneys. It's free. Just take a look at the link below when you have a quiet minute. A 2-minute conversation at the pharmacy counter has spared a lot of people a very bad month. Now, I told you at the top there was a second medication mix I wanted you to know about, and this one matters enormously for a different group of you. If you take a blood thinner, the older one is warfarin. Some folks still call it by its brand name. This is your part. Warfarin's whole job is to keep your blood from clotting too easily, to protect you from a stroke or a dangerous clot. Wonderful life-saving medicine. But it walks a fine line. Too little and it doesn't protect you. Too much and you can bleed too easily. Now bring those same over-the-counter painkillers back into the picture. NSAIDs like ibuprofen and naproxen do two things that are a real problem alongside a blood thinner. First, they can irritate the lining of your stomach and over time even cause small ulcers and bleeding in there. Second, they themselves make your platelets, the little cells that form clots, less able to do their job. So you've got the warfarin thinning your blood on one side and the painkiller both irritating your stomach and interfering with clotting on the other. Research has linked that combination to a significantly higher risk of serious bleeding, particularly in the stomach and intestines. The warning signs to know and to never ignore are things like black or tarry stools, vomit that looks like coffee grounds, or unusual bruising. Those are reasons to call your doctor right away, not to wait and see. And there's a quieter cousin of this worth a mention. A lot of folks over 60 also take a stomach acid medicine, something like omeprazole, often precisely to protect the stomach. Sometimes a doctor will deliberately add a stomach-protecting medicine when a person genuinely needs both a blood thinner and a painkiller. That can be the right call, but that's a decision made by your doctor, weighing your specific situation, not something to engineer yourself off a video. My only goal here is that you know these pieces interact, so the conversation actually happens. So what do you actually do with all this? Let me give you the calm, practical version. First, please don't walk away frightened of your medications, and for heaven's sake, don't stop anything on your own. Stopping a blood pressure pill or a blood thinner suddenly can be far more dangerous than the interaction I just described. If something here worries you, the answer is never to quit a medication yourself. It's to ask your doctor about it and ask whether there's a safer alternative for your situation. Second, understand that the painkiller is the flexible piece in most of these stories, and it's the piece you control at the drugstore. Many people are simply not aware that acetaminophen, that's a different kind of pain reliever that works in another way, is often gentler on the kidneys and doesn't interfere with blood thinners the same way the NSAIDs do, though it has its own limits, especially for the liver and at high doses. I'm not telling you which to take. I'm telling you this is the perfect, specific question to ask. Given everything else I'm on, which pain reliever is safest for me and at what dose? Third, and this is the big one, get a medication review. Take every single thing you swallow, the prescriptions, the over-the-counter pills, the vitamins, the supplements, the herbal stuff, put it all in a bag and bring it to your pharmacist. Pharmacists are the most underused experts in all of medicine. This is exactly what they're trained for, spotting these interactions, and in most places they'll sit down and go through your bag with you, often for free, no appointment needed. Many seniors who do this come away having found at least one combination worth a second look. Once a year at minimum. It's one of the highest value half hours you can spend on your health after 60. Let me leave you with the simple version to carry in your head. Painkillers like ibuprofen and naproxen are not free of consequences just because they're sold without a prescription. If you're on blood pressure medicine, especially with a water pill, that's the triple whammy to ask about. If you're on a blood thinner like warfarin, that's a bleeding risk to ask about. And the person who can sort it all out for your body, with your list, is a phone call or a short drive away. If this helped clear things up, the plain language checklist I mentioned is waiting for you in the description, the same link, so you've got the right questions ready for your pharmacist or your doctor. Bring it with you. That's the whole point, to turn what you learned today into one good conversation. I want to thank you for giving me these few minutes and for taking your health seriously enough to learn how these pieces fit together. That instinct to understand before you act is exactly what keeps people well and independent for a long, long time. Remember, everything I've shared today is general educational information, the kind of thing a knowledgeable friend would tell you, and it is not medical advice and not a substitute for your own doctor who knows you and your history. So take your bag of medications, and go have that conversation. Take good care of yourself, look out for the people you love, and I'll see you in the next one.